Hi guys, today's October 2nd. I started making a video and I deleted it about 10 minutes in because I got pretty emotional making it. Today's a pretty emotional day for me because 18 years ago today I buried my babies. I'm gonna start off, I started telling the whole story from start to finish. I'm not gonna do that. I want to tell you the significance though to why today is important. If you knew the whole story of why I keep bringing my twin girls in this, it's not, it is a testimony of what happened to me for these times now. All right. And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm going to clarify. I am not. I am glad that God took my children because one, he's taking a better care of them than I could have at the time. Two, my husband would not be saved if they were here. Three, my husband and I would not be together. And I wouldn't be able to have the ministry that I have today if they were here. On top of that, I would have had 5 children, possibly 6, running around. No, thank you. Okay. Anyways, so I'm just going to get it rushed real quick through the story. I gave birth to my twins September 7th, 2006. All right. A day prior to, I was lifelined from one end of Indiana to the other to Indianapolis, and I was in there for a week. I had less than 24 hours to live. I had protein 3+ in my urine. I had a bladder infection. I had a kidney infection. I had a staph infection through my bloodstream. I had toxemia and eclampsia. My blood pressure was 197/146. I had densdialysis. I had a bunch of water weight. I had less than 24 hours to live. The babies were poisoning my body. I had an amniocentesis that found out that they only had half a brain because a normal human being has 46 chromosomes. My baby had 96. And they found out it was because the other baby took the other baby's chromosomes. So if they formed properly, there would have been 2 identical twin girls. So there's the explanation on that. So yes, I had identical twins formed in one body. Yes, she had a name. Her name, I named her, and I will explain. While the whole stay in the hospital, I only remember bits and pieces because I was so high on morphine and other medications. I remember I have 7 brothers and 2 sisters, so there's 10 of us kids. I remember my brothers coming in and telling me, that is your life worth dying for, when you can adopt, when you could have more children, such and such. I was always told I can't have kids. So, and let me tell you, I struggled. My body struggled carrying to term, and I still, with my 2, could not carry to term. I had medical conditions the whole time. And that deals, just letting you know, if you guys are having a lot of miscarriages and stuff, 99% of the time it's because of your husband and wife, whoever you're trying to make a baby with, your blood types are not compatible, and that's what causes miscarriages. Just saying. And that happens to be us. He's like A positive and I'm like O positive, and we just clash. We just, our blood types don't mix for making babies. So anyways, I'm in there and I said, I got faith in God. I got faith in God. I remember this. And then I remember going to bed. And then all I remember is they induced me, and I was 6 months pregnant. And I remember laying in the bed and asking out loud. I couldn't see a thing. And I thought I was having a seizure because all I felt was this. That's all I felt, like a big shaking, but it was warm. Like my whole body was warm and it felt like I was floating. I was having an out-of-body experience. I went from, and it was just like this during my shaking, red roses, yellow roses, blue roses, like this. And I saw a cloud, okay, with my little girl standing there. She had a white sundress on, pink little bow in her hair right here, and she had the cute little clips right here, little flowers right here. She looked just like her dad. I'm just telling you, she looked a spinning image, and I knew she was holding Jesus's hand. I could not see his face, but from the waist down, the fire flames, the heat, the bronze, what I seen, I know was Jesus. And I was reaching and reaching and reaching, and I wanted to go, and she said, "No, mommy, it's not your time." She was about 4 years old when I seen her. Okay. And I kept reaching. I want to go. And she goes, "It's not your time. It's not your time." Let me tell you, that feeling is a feeling when the rapture happens that you get to experience. It is a feeling that is indescribable. I did not want to leave. And I'm getting emotional because this is a true story that happened to me. This is my testimony. Okay, and this is actually what made me dedicate my life to Christ. And when I first became born again, when I first came to Christ, I mean, I knew Christ, but when I actually came to Christ, and then I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm having a girl. I'm having a girl." And I seen her. I seen her. I kept saying, "I seen her. I seen her." And they're like, "What is she talking about? She's going crazy." I said, "No, I seen her. I seen her. I seen her." I was out. That's the last thing. Next thing I know, my brother Chip comes in, and I guess I gave birth to the babies, and this is all I remember. I was out, and there was not a spot on my body that they could not draw blood from me because I was poked and prodded so bad. I lost 50 pounds in just water weight because I was so sick. They did tell me that I had 24 hours to live to make a full-blown decision. I medically, cognitively, and since I was not married to my husband at the time, could not make a sound decision for myself. So my mother had to. And there was a very high possibility that I could have died. And so, after that, my husband now told me that he held her until she took her last breath. She lived for 4 hours. She died in his arms. She was 5.7 ounces and 7 inches long. I have her outfit that they took pictures of her in, and I will actually, I want to show you just how small my little girl was when she was born. It's the palm. She could fit in the palm of your hand. And, so I got released from the hospital, and we have her dead in a basket, taking her to the funeral home. Have to make these decisions. So today, it was October 2nd, 2006. We go to the funeral home. It's freezing out. Freezing. I could barely walk. My blood pressure was still high. I was still sick, getting over being sick in the hospital. I'm walking up the ramp and everything, and I'm just bawling my eyes out because that's my baby. I feel empty inside. There's nothing in there. And my sister and I were 3 days apart, due. And so she ended up having her baby, and I did not. Her son's name is Jacob, of all names. And she got in a car wreck and had the jaws of life take her and pry her out of the car right before she gave birth to him. So I know this whole situation was a God thing. And then So we go out to bury, and the sun was shining down on the casket. The wind was blowing hard, and it was freezing out. Freezing. And instantly, when the sun shone down on the casket, I felt the hand of a little child, and I knew it was my daughter holding my hand. The wind immediately stopped, and I felt that exact same presence that I felt in the presence of the Lord with my daughter. Okay. This was 18 years ago that I felt this. Now, let's fast forward to after I had I have to tell you what happened after. So 2 weeks after I'm home, she's buried and gone, I receive an order form in the mail, and they tell me, it's like to order a portion doll. My jaw about hit the floor. It was identical. Same weight, same length, identical to my little girl. I didn't order the portion doll, but I have that paper to this day. And I drew her because that's the identical little girl that I birthed. And then later on, I get pregnant. I miscarried. Shortly after, my husband tells me, just one day out of the blue, we're still not married at this time, mind you, tells me, I just want to let you know that I asked Jesus in my heart. He said, losing our daughter I never want to go through that again. He said that hurt so bad. And he said, I almost lost you. You almost died. And he goes, he sees the joy of the Lord in me, even through my trials and stuff. So he wanted to feel that. It was amazing. So we started going to church. Pentecostal. Best of the kind. All right. And then I got pregnant, and March 9th, 2007, I miscarried. Yes, I miscarried because I got pregnant with my daughter that I have now. I remember being pregnant with her, and this is where the real good stuff comes in. I got pregnant with her, and I did not know at all what I was having. I did not have any excitement. I already lost kids. Why? I'm just going to lose this pregnancy too, right? Well, I wasn't excited. I fell asleep one day, and we started talking about baby names. If it was a boy, I wanted to name him Malachi. If it was a girl, Nora. Didn't like the name, so I fell asleep. And my daughter, literally, Seneva, came to me in a dream and told me, you're having a girl, and you're to name her Olivia. I woke up and I said, her name's Olivia. I'm having a girl. And he goes, are you sure? Yep, had an ultrasound. It's a little girl. And that's how she got her name. All right. Now, years go by. I already have my children. We're living in our old house. Kids are playing, mind you. They've never seen Seneva. They don't know who she is. They both come bolting in the house, excited and in tears. Mommy, 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 we seen Jesus. We jumped on our trampoline. He came down. Our sister came and played with us. I got chills. I said, what? And he goes, Mommy, you don't understand. They're about 4 and 6 years old. You know they don't lie. So I'm like, oh my gosh. This is exciting. So they ended up seeing her, and they said, Mommy, he's coming back. He said, we have to be good. Mommy, we have to be good. And we got to play with Sissy, and said that we get to go be with her soon. That's all it was. They had 2 encounters like that. 2. All right. Those are my testimonies. Now, after I was pregnant, during my pregnancy with my daughter, I was 5 months pregnant. I ended up getting baptized. And the day that after I got baptized, the day that my husband and, started fully going to church and being committed, that next Sunday, September 23rd, 2007, we got married. That's a God thing. That is all God. September 28th, 2015, mind you, at the blood moon, was the first time I ever spoke in tongues. That was something I wanted to mention in my other videos, and I forgot. So having said all that, I cannot take back this whole testimony for 1 second of my daughter being alive in front of me. They're waiting for me up there. They're more perfect. I remember after that encounter, that's right, I wrote in my journal a poem, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. That's what it was. And I was Poet of the Year. I submitted it in 2019. Took me years to submit it because it was very personal. But I have her little feet prints in the obituary cards and also in the poetry book, because that poem was dedicated to her. And so, yes, I have twins, and I'm telling you right now, I'm getting ready to go see them. They are what helped start my ministry, my testimony in my life. And it has been a powerful one. So now let's move forward. Okay. Now that that's off my chest and everything, everyone, the Feast of Trumpets, they say, is today. We have to go off the spotting of the new moon. You cannot go off a calendar just because the Jews celebrate something. The Jews celebrate stuff at the wrong time all the time. My children are loud. So you have to go off the spotting of the new moons. It even says it in Leviticus. So, even if it isn't today, it's tomorrow. So it doesn't matter. We're still in the Feast of Trumpets timing. And imagine today being 18 years since the burial of my children. And I get to feel that. That is confirmation. We are getting ready to go home. We're getting ready to go meet our loved ones. Now, I do have to read you guys this important information. Right here. So, there's nuclear World War III that are in 3 phases. Excuse me. Phase 1, the start date, was in 1968. So, this is in World War I and World War II, which is 7/28 of 1914, which is World War I. 7 plus 28 plus 19 plus 14 is 68. 9/1 of 1939 is World War II. 9/1 plus 19 plus 39 is 68. The Ukraine invasion was on 2/24 of 2022, which equals the World War III. 2 plus 24 plus 20 plus 22 is 68. Now we have the celestial signs, 3 years. World War I and II signs, which is Venus is in Taurus. And remember, we've even talked about Taurus the bull and about being the financial barrier. How Amy and I was talking about that being up in the sky, and with it being in the star, that it was the only star that people weren't even talking about. It wasn't even like NASA wasn't even talking about. It was like a separate event of its own. Yeah. We see what's happening with the financials with what's his name, William Buffett took out all of his shares, and look what just happened with the economy and everything else, and the shipment, which we're going to talk about all this. So anyways, celestial signs, Venus and Taurus, we see for World War I. the solar eclipse of 4/28/1911. Okay, Venus in Taurus, World War II. There's the solar eclipse of 6/19/1936. And then there was a 3-year gap. Okay, and we see the Taurus pattern. Okay, and then you have the World War III, which is Venus, which is in Taurus, right? And then the solar eclipse on 6/21 of 2020. This is phase 2. Venus in Leo, World War I and II, signs and dates. 7/28 of 1914. Remember, I just talked about this in the first one, but now here's a second one because this is Venus in Leo. For World War I, Venus in Leo. And 9/1 of 1939 is World War II, Venus in Leo. And then, which was the October War, which was 10/7 of 2023, which is World War III, Venus in Leo. And now we have the third phase, which is 1 Thessalonians 5:3, which is sudden destruction to bring upon worldwide. That is what we are waiting on. These are the phases that we have seen come into fruition. Okay, and it's been a pattern. So we have noticed that where the moons and around the solar eclipses, which today's the Ring of Fire solar eclipse, and the Star of Jacob, right? Starting its appearance, which we know is the exact same star that the the 3 wise men followed to the Messiah, as well as today being the 7 years to the date that Israel or whatever heard the trumpet sound it loudly, all declaring. Everyone heard the trumpets. Remember, it was 7 years ago today. This isn't a coincidence. Okay, and then we have when we have these events happening up in the sky, we have massive earthquakes, and we start seeing these solar storms and things like that happening. Well, now we've been having solar flares, and people are like, oh my gosh, it's been causing auras, the northern lights, they're so beautiful. There's a problem with that. It's fine. We were only supposed to be able to see them at one spot. Now that you're able to see them shows that there's such a big hole in the sun and how it's getting ready to flip. Now listen to this. Monster X class flare launches massive solar storm towards Earth and could trigger auras this weekend. All right. And so it says, the sun's unleashed an enormous X-class flare, temporarily triggering a radio blackout above parts of the U.S. and unleashing a hefty coronal mass ejection that will likely slam into our planet, potentially triggering vibrant aura displays later this week. Now, what is it? It's the Bank of America. 17,000 customers have no access to their bank accounts. Zip. None. And I know a friend of mine over in California, Christine, she has no access to her bank account at all. No money, nothing. And so, yeah, that's kind of scary. All right. And then we have the Verizon, the outage. And then we still have the outages due to the storm of the hurricane and another hurricane coming in. And then we have these X flares coming. See what I'm saying? All right. Now, the X-class solar flare, the most powerful type the sun can produce, exploded from the sunspot AR 3842 near the solar equator around 6 p.m. on Tuesday, October 1st. Okay? And it had the magnitude of a 7.1, making it the most powerful explosion of the current solar cycle. Okay? And the solar cycle 25, which began in 2019. And the most powerful flare was a Monster X 8.7 magnitude blast in May, which was the most powerful flare in the last 7 years. And if you notice, it's always 7 years, 50 years, or it has the dates where these prophetic events started as our time marker to watch the fig tree generation. I'm telling you, none of this is coincidence. You got to read between these lines because God is giving us hints and clues. He wants you, he's pouring wisdom out to people. He wants you to understand. So radiation from Tuesday's supercharged flare bypassed Earth's magnetic shield or magnetic sphere and ionize the upper parts of the upper atmosphere, creating a temporary radio blackout above large parts of the Pacific Ocean, including Hawaii. All right, so the explosion also hurled a CME, coronal mass ejection, a cloud of fast-moving plasma and radiation into space, which NASA predicts will collide with Earth on Saturday, October 5th, which is what? Ending about the Feast of Trumpets timing. So when the CME hits our planet, it will likely trigger a disturbance in the magnetic sphere known as a geomagnetic storm, which enables solar particles to penetrate deep into the atmosphere and trigger vibrant aurora displays at unusually low latitudes. That is why over in Indiana, over in Texas, and a lot of parts of the world that are unable to see it are able to see it, which is really crazy. All right, so I'm not showing you these models. I want to get to the point on this because my video is running long. And it says, okay, in August, the number of visible sunspots hit a 23-year high. And they've already found a massive hole in the sun. All right, and it says right here, over the next few months, the number of geomagnetic storms and auroras could also spike further as Earth's magnetic field becomes more closely aligned with the solar wind around the fall equinox. Throughout the rest of the solar maximum, which could last for at least another year, this is insane, there is an increased chance of the sun unleashing even more immense solar storms on par with the Carrington event of 1859, the most solar storm on record. If such a storm were to hit us today, it would disrupt ground-based infrastructure such as the power grid, knock out most of our satellites, potentially causing trillions of dollars of damage. And there was something else that I needed to read to you on this that I found extremely wowing. Yes, right here. The latest solar outburst is another sign that we have likely entered the solar maximum. Okay, remember how I had that dream with Dalton and I looked and I said, why is everything upside down? Well, here it is. The peak of the sun's roughly 11-year solar cycle, 11 means judgment or destruction, which occurs right before its magnetic field completely flips. That is dangerous. Without this, this has no protection. You'll get burnt alive. Remember, it says the earth, the third of the earth shall be burnt. Hello. Now, I scared people, and I did not mean to. I want to read you Trump's thing that he was talking about, the purge. There is no date set, but I want to read you this, and I want you to try and understand how far-fetched this is. At a rally on Sunday in Erie, Pennsylvania, Trump casually seemed to suggest that one day of violence would put an end of crime. Trump declared that Representative Mike Kelly should be put in charge for one really violent day, one rough hour, and I mean real rough. The world would get it out and it will end immediately. End immediately. You know, it will end immediately, he added without sharing any logistics. I think you guys are getting my hint. The concept mirrors a fictional film series called The Purge, in which all crime is legal for 12 hours on a single day of the year. At least one film in the franchise takes aim at the previous Trump administration, according to the USA Today. His dangerous remark Sunday came on the heels of his saying that crime is skyrocketing, a false claim that the far right uses to fearmonger. He also echoed the lie that the supposed rise in crime is the fault of the migrants. The twice impeached former president has documenting patterns of using violent rhetoric and inciting violence, including ahead of January 6, 2021 Capitol insurrection that led to 5 deaths after Trump's loss in the 2020 election. I don't care about all that. Recently, he has warned us that there would be a bloodbath if he loses the election. So, and this was his First rally, which came ahead of schedule from October 5th, returned to Butler, Pennsylvania, the location of his first assassination attempt in July. I'm just telling you, this stuff is hints. What they do is they try to calm the masses by making it as a joke. The thing is, this stuff isn't a joke. This stuff is real. Us watchmen know it's real. The thing is, we aren't going to have to witness that because that's wrath stuff. But the suggestion stuff also show what a demonized person that the higher up leaders are to even suggest something that disgusting. It's not going to stop anything. And that suggestion in one day, think about it, that one day would be the rapture that would cause all this, and that it would just fix it all because that one person wants to fix it all, Antichrist. And now, this is important too. This shutdown, I want to read this. So, Longshoremen Union president sends warning message about impact of strike. This port will never open up again. I'm not playing. And this was just put up here. All right. And it says, this president of Longshoremen's Union detailed the grim reality that could be on the horizon should his striking workers not get a new contract. The strike began Tuesday as more than 45,000 members of the International Longshoremen's Association stopped working. It has affected 36 ports from Maine to Texas. In addition to increased wages, the workers are also seeking protection from automation in the new contract. In the meantime, however, there are concerns that the strike will lead to a shortage of goods and a rise in inflation. And we already know this. This is inevitable. It has to happen. So, on Tuesday, the President Harold Daggett joined the picket line in New Jersey to send a strong message about just how harmful the strike will be if their demands aren't met. And so those greedy companies aren't making billions of dollars and they don't want to share. That's why we're out of here now fighting for a contract. We're going to fight for it and we're going to win it, or this port will never open up again from here to Houston. And I'm not playing games here. Nobody knew what longshoremen were. We didn't get respected, but now we will. Now, we will when they find out malls are going to get shut down because goods can't come in. Car salesmen are going to get laid off. Well, guess what? Everything that comes in this country comes from the containers off these ships that my men work. And I want the world to know it. Don't come after us saying that we're greedy. Go after those greedy bastards that own these companies in Europe. Go after them. They're sitting there taking $4 billion bonuses for themselves at Christmas time. That's got to stop. They are demanding it to stop, to open up, and it's not going to stop. And here's the thing. This is what I'm also sensing out of this, and I'm sure a lot of you have sensed too, that this is kind of a staged act. Okay, this is kind of a false flag thing. That this is intentionally set. And if you notice, it's at the shorelines. Okay, and you remember, what was it, last year over at because Savannah, Georgia had its shipments to stop. Remember, because that's where one of the largest shipments come through of goods with like Walmart merchandise and things like that. And we was just there last year. And so this stuff, not only being on a biblical standpoint, but they are intentionally doing this to also wreak of panic. They're trying to distract from what's coming. So if they don't have anybody coming in, no shipments coming in, that's a perfect way. They already have FEMA setting out. Think about this. FEMA is already there, quote unquote, helping, right? Perfect time to set up their camps. Perfect timing. Rosh Hashanah, Feast of Tabernacles. We got all this going on. Jesus' birthday coming up. I mean, what more do we need? The signs are screaming around us every single day. I could do 10 videos a day and it still won't cover all the news because there's just so much. So this is just a little portion of it. And as I get more, I'll be updating you guys. I want you guys to be encouraged and know that we are there. Stay put. Keep your lamps trimmed. You're all full. Okay? Stay in your heart with Jesus. Stay on the right path. Okay? We're going home. We're going to see our loved ones. I love you guys. See you there in the air. God bless.